The importance and challenges of token economics. Sebastian Markowsky, GP Bullhound. Godwin Schembri, Knowmenow. Wei Zhou, Binance. Sarah Olsen, Gemini.com. Moderated by Olga Finkel, WH Partners.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to you from myself, a co-managing partner of WH Partners, and from my firm. Welcome to the Tokenomics and Cryptos Conference. Today, to start off, we're going to discuss the importance of tokenomics. And it can be loosely defined as a design and an implementation of the token, because obviously the token is at the core of tokenomics. If you get it right, you hope, all other things being equal, the token will fly. The use will increase, the value will go up, and everybody will be happy. Of course, it's a success. Otherwise, it is possible that it will never take off the drawing board. And of course, it will be a disaster for the issuer of the token and also for the token holders. These are the issues that we're going to discuss today. What are the elements? What are the components of a good design of a token to ensure that it is a success? And today we have a very interesting lineup of knowledgeable speakers at this panel. I will introduce them as we go along and as they jump into the discussion. Ladies first, I'll start from Sarah Olsen. She is the head of business development of Gemini Trust Company. Gemini is based in USA, and it is digital asset exchange and custodian company. On the website, the mission statement that you have is to be the bridge to the future of money. And as I understand, you are also the issuer of a rather unusual animal these days, a stablecoin, Gemini dollar. Can you please share with us the thinking behind the introducing and issuing the stablecoin? And what is the main function you want to achieve with this token?
Sure. Does anyone in here watch Game of Thrones? Like, come on, we have to have more nerds than this. Come on, like, she's man's. Well, for those of you who don't watch the show, there's and it's really apt because a lot of it was filmed here and then in Croatia. But there's this city called Karth, which is supposed to be the richest city in the entire world, the richest city that ever was or ever will be. And the whole, all of the economic activity of the city is essentially collateralized by, all of their treasures, which are housed in a vault. And of course, and I'm sorry for spoiling this, but it gets revealed, at the end of one season that when you open the vault, there's actually nothing in there. And so all of this economic activity that's supposed to be backed by legitimate value has been predicated on basically nothing. And so the concept of a stablecoin, when we issued it, wasn't new, right? This isn't necessarily revolutionary technology as it relates to ERC20 protocol. But what is different about what we're doing is that we're trying to create legitimacy and transparency to create a true digitized dollar on the blockchain. And this is really important for our business because, as you mentioned, our mission statement is really connecting the mainland of traditional finance to the island of cryptocurrency. And so what we've done is we've created a stable coin.
Can you kill that? No, can you kill that? Thank you. That's really annoying.
What we've done is we've created a stable coin where we're giving full transparency and we're partnering with the top institutions to create a true value of the dollar on the blockchain. All of the dollars are held at State Street. We're a trust company. Our stable coin is regulated by our prudential regulator, the Department of Financial Services. And although that a dollar on a blockchain isn't necessarily as cool or interesting as a lot of the things that you're going to hear during this conference, what it enables a lot of these protocols and applications to be able to do and to connect with other institutions is incredibly profound.
Right, thank you. Godwin, you are a co-founder and CTO of the project called Knowmenow. which is, according to your website, is a KYC solution that will revolutionize the process of collecting KYC, and your ambition is to solve the problem and the headache, both of those who are obliged to collect the KYC information, and also for those who are obliged to provide it. My understanding that you are planning to issue not only one, but actually two different tokens, two different types of tokens. Please share with us your ideas. Why two? Are they the same? How they link to each other? What is the thinking behind it?
Yes, when we set up in funding this idea, ICOs were at the top, and the problem with startups is funding, especially when you come from a small island such as Malta. They speak about a lot of volatility, about a lot of liquidity, which is true for a small island, but then again, it's all coming from traditional investment, and therefore we try to attract them. And when we speak a bit about tokens, they all tell us, you speak about the product a lot. They tell us they love it, but we don't understand blockchain, we don't understand tokens, so I'm out, like on Shark Tank. So we then started to talk about equity tokens. We redesigned. Very early on, I believe in April, we designed our security token to be, a share of profits of adjusted gross revenue, effectively, so like dividends. So it was an early idea of security token. Again, we had lots of interest of it, but they wanted to sign up to some degree. We did a tour, and they said, "Come speak to me the moment there are exchanges that this can be traded." Because at the end of the day, this is an investment, and what we want is liquidity. So, we ended up deciding, okay, forget it. After all, the world, we might be too early to some degree. We missed the boat, potentially, is the truth as well. We all know about ICOs. Now STOs are coming, and because the exchanges are coming, but still, that will trade the security tokens, but still, it's going to take a bit of a while, in terms of the licensing and everything, but we're all waiting for that, and we're going to see a lot of security tokens.
Right. Let's move on to Sebastian. Sebastian Markowsky is the director of GP Bullhound, the leading technology advisory and capital provider firm, a VC. And it's been at it for almost 20 years, my understanding is. Your motto is helping exceptional people building exceptional businesses, including tech unicorn. So how do you go about building the unicorn and assisting your clients, those who come to you with pitch decks, and you go through them in your deal flow evaluation? What are the functions, what are the areas, components, elements, features that you look into of a token design? What is a good token design that you look for, and what you just discard straight away?
So yeah, I think one thing that, we have good relationships with some of the leading technology entrepreneurs, particularly across Europe, since that's our focus market, and we help them raising global capital for 20 years. And in this network, we have a lot of exceptional entrepreneurs and people that have a proven ability of execute business models. Yeah, it's not only about the idea, it's very diligent and pure execution, which is a lot of work. So there, I think we try to bridge a little bit between both worlds. You have the very blockchain end where things are far away yet, technology-wise, from something that can be enterprise-grade. And then you have, blockchainified business models and everything in between. So we try to go with the reputation and track record of an entrepreneur and try to take more ownership in creating ideas that really make value and that address a massive market. And there, I think it's important, so what's been said already by Godwin or by Sarah is something that we think about a lot in designing those projects, because you usually need, or we see more and more multi-token models, because having governance and ownership and utility all in one token is going to be creating problems for most of the projects that we see, and only a few will be able to live with that longer. Right. So there needs to be clear differentiation. In the end, it's then about that the token gets used. Yeah, we have discussed yesterday at the dinner a lot about what's the real use case. And the real use case is probably store of value. And then it's eventually staking to get the incentives right on the platform in order to achieve the best possible output. But other than that, everything else is a little bit, in the broader sense, probably payments. Yeah, and not really utility. And that's something that you have to think about really, really carefully in getting the project and the token economics right.
Right. The last but definitely not least on our panel is Wei Zhou, who is a very experienced CFO of Binance. Binance, of course, doesn't need an introduction at all. It's the largest exchange by volume on this planet and probably in the universe. So everybody seems to be wanting to be listed on Binance, and there is even such a term as Binance effect. Wei, is it true that there is Binance effect? What kind of effect does the token get when they actually get listed on your exchange, provided they can afford it, of course?
Yeah, I think I'll talk about two things. One is about something that I think most projects and a lot of people in this room may care about, which is basically listing on Binance. I think the Binance effect is something that has came about, I think that, the last year or so, but then our exchange is only about a year and 4 months old. So I think the major effect is basically you get what's perceived as basically, a premium within the market. For example, our sort of acceptance rate in terms of application for listing versus listing is less than 3% right now. But the thing is that what's really behind it is actually the liquidity that the token gets once it becomes listed on Binance. And I think that's something that a lot of projects look for. And I think outside of sort of the listing process for Binance itself, the second point that I want to make is actually I want to talk a little bit about tokenomics, is basically the token economics behind our own token, which is the BNB token. When we did our ICO about a year and 4 months ago, we basically set out 200 million BNB tokens. But one of the things that we set out was that we're going to burn 20% of our token, 20% of our net profit every quarter until that total supply gets taken down to about 100 million tokens. That's in our white paper. And we basically have been exercising that for 5 straight quarters. Our burn for the last quarter was about $17 million. It's down a little bit from about $32 million the previous quarter, but it's something that we've set out in our white paper that we would do, and we've continued been doing that since day one.
I have one last question. We're running out of time. How do you see the interplay between different features of a token? Sometimes there can be a conflict between different features. For example, if I am, as an investor, as a token holder, would want to wait until the value goes up, then I will not probably be able to use it, would not want to do it. On the other hand, we heard today that the more token is used, the higher the value. So how would you resolve this potential conflict within the design of the token? Please jump in.
Yeah, so I think, one important element, what you say is absolutely true. So that's, again, I come back to this multi-token model. So I think there should be, as you have mostly a payment element to it, and then on the other side you have the shareholdership and governance that you want to interlink them so you maximize usage. So whoever contributes value to a platform should at some point probably be also able to buy in more on the equity token side. And I think in the end, you see it very clearly with a stable coin where you don't have capital gains by definition, but you need to keep the network alive. You need to make money, and that's the things people should think about. It's not a business that's based on token price increase is not going to be sustainable.
Right, Godwin.
I would say I would add another aspect to that, because at the end of the day, there's this important ethos of decentralization. And so people then talk about solving this problem by, buying coins back, of course, if you are selling a service, utility, you need it to be used, but people are holding on to it. But then the owner of the company says, I'm going to sell a bit more or buy a bit more. But then it becomes, again, centralized. So I haven't yet seen a model that solves the utility more, because the utility is being seen, I think the biggest problem is utility is being seen as an investment token, when in reality it is cash, monetary value.
How do you see the effect of regulatory environment of the token, and how does it contribute or otherwise to the success of your token? Sarah?
Wow, it's really interesting that Wei and I are sitting next to each other then, because we work for very different exchanges that I think are both bringing a lot to the ecosystem, but have very different regulatory frameworks. I think from Gemini, we have the ability to bring really sound regulated products such as the Gemini dollar, which are really, really valuable in terms of the institutional adoption of cryptocurrency and creating stability within these projects. You can use paying a dividend in a Gemini dollar for a token, for example. I think what's really incredible about Binance is, what they've been able to do in terms of their scope and expanding and their reach and being able to offer, so much to their clients in terms of the menu, and that really, really helps innovation. Regulation it's a really tricky concept. Regulation is really core to our business, but it again, we can't list everything under the sun.
Hey, your view?
We welcome progressive regulation like we see here in Malta, and which is one of the reasons that we're spending a lot of resources to develop our presence here. In terms of what we look for in terms of regulatory is actually just clarity. I think that's one of the most important things to this industry right now. If you can get clarity, and like for example, one of the biggest news I think in the industry is actually Hong Kong is going to come out with a sandbox approach to regulating cryptocurrency, and I think that's for a major financial market. That's very, very interesting. For us, we've had investment from one of the sovereign wealth funds in Singapore, Vertex, and our entity in Southeast Asia. And that's something that we've seen as sort of another advancement in terms of, in a regulatory framework. I think in the United States, it's going to get better. So, and we look forward to working with Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you so much to our panelists for an interesting discussion. And I hope the other panelists in this conference will be just as interesting. Thank you very much.